think? You can just do whatever you want now? Listen still.
Step into the dark with 10 new horror movies from 2025 that you shouldn't miss. From pulse-pounding nightmares to twisted tales of terror, these fresh releases prove that horror is still very much alive. Let's dive right in. Number 10, Decibel.
Something revolutionary is happening here, Scout. Turn it off! You're wrong.
Scout, a gifted but struggling singer-songwriter, receives an invite to an isolated desert studio run by Donna, a reclusive music producer obsessed with AI-generated sound. What begins as a dream collaboration quickly spirals into a waking nightmare when Scout discovers the cutting-edge tech is harvesting her voice, rewriting her songs and reshaping her into something unrecognizable. As her identity blurs and reality distorts, the studio itself becomes a prison of looping melodies and corrupted echoes. Directed by Zach Locke, Decibel is a sound-driven horror story that twists musical genius into a haunting echo chamber of manipulation and control. It's a chilling descent into the loss of creative self, where each track recorded brings Scout closer to erasure. Number 9, Die My Love.
Things have been,
Wait, by the way.
Main character is about to batter her husband to death with a hammer.
Shut up!
Grace, a once vibrant woman, now finds herself unraveling in the suffocating quiet of rural Montana, where she lives with her husband and infant son. Trapped in a decaying farmhouse and a marriage that grows colder by the day, she begins to lose grip on reality, haunted by violent impulses and ghostly visions that blur the line between psychosis and truth. As her mind fractures, so does the illusion of domestic bliss, revealing something feral beneath the surface. Die, My Love is a raw, unflinching descent into postpartum madness and the monstrous side of womanhood rarely shown. The film pulses with tension, using silence and isolation to echo the scream beneath Grace's skin. What begins as a portrait of motherhood slowly mutates into a feverish spiral of fear, where sanity isn't lost, it's torn away. Number 8, The Things You Kill. Ali, a Turkish-born professor living in the US, returns home after the sudden death of his estranged mother, only to discover a web of secrets rotting beneath their family estate. Grief gives way to obsession as he recruits Reza, a quiet gardener with a shadowy past, to help uncover the truth and possibly exact revenge. But as violence seeps into their fragile alliance, the line between victim and villain blurs. The Things You Kill is a slow-burning descent into psychological torment and cultural estrangement, where memory and bloodshed cling to the walls like mold. Each step Ali takes toward closure leads deeper into the roots of inherited trauma and the terrifying cost of retribution. It's a haunting portrait of a man unearthing the past, only to awaken something inside himself that may never go back to sleep. Number 7, Dolly.
What you think?
Macy, a young woman on the run from her past, accepts a ride through rural Appalachia, only to vanish without a trace. She awakens in a decaying cabin, imprisoned by a towering man who calls her Dolly and dresses her like a child's toy. As days blur into horror, Macy is forced to perform, smile, and obey, with every attempt to escape tightening her captor's grip. Directed by Rod Blackhurst, Dolly is a grainy, slow-burn descent into captivity, obsession, and the erasure of identity. Shot on Super 16mm, its gritty visuals echo 1970s horror. But its terror is deeply modern, a quiet scream against the objectification of women and the madness of forced innocence. Number 6, The Beldham.
There's a witch living in the walls. I have seen it.
You don't know what you're...
Harper, a first-time mother, retreats to her family's remote farmhouse hoping for peace. But the silence holds something ancient, as sleepless nights stretch into surreal days. She hears lullabies with no singer and sees fleeting shadows that mimic her every move. Digging through the attic, she discovers a weathered diary that speaks of the Beldham, a motherly wraith that feeds on guilt, fear, and bloodlines. Directed by Angela Gollner, the film is a skin-prickling folk horror drenched in postpartum dread and generational trauma. The house pulses with memories that aren't hers, and as Harper's grip on reality slips, she must decide if the threat is real or born from her own fractured mind. Number 5. Dorothea.
77 years old.
67, 55,
78, 64.
64 years old.
I'm good.
Grace, a nursing student in need of quick cash, accepts a live-in caregiver job for Dorothea, a sweet, soft-spoken widow with a warm smile and a spotless home. But as days pass, Grace begins to notice strange noises in the basement and a lingering rot beneath the floorboards. When she stumbles upon hidden records in locked rooms, a terrifying truth surfaces. Her charming employer isn't just eccentric, she's hiding a graveyard built on trust. Directed by Chad Farron, Dorothea is a cold-blooded slow burn based on real events, transforming the archetype of the harmless old lady into something truly monstrous. With each passing moment, Grace becomes more trapped in a web of kindness weaponized into control. Number 4. If I had legs, I'd kick you.
This isn't supposed to be what it's like. This isn't it. This can't be it.
Linda, a weary therapist and mother, finds her life quietly crumbling after her husband disappears at sea and her young daughter begins suffering from an unexplained illness. Forced to leave their flooded Montauk apartment, they take refuge in a crumbling motel where shadows stretch too long and every creak sounds like a warning. As her professional world disintegrates and her own therapist abandons her, Linda begins to lose time, grip, and self. Directed by Mary Bronstein, the film is a slow, suffocating spiral into maternal terror where the mundane becomes monstrous and exhaustion becomes horror. Number 3. Keeper. Liz and Malcolm retreat to a remote woodland cabin for their anniversary, a place meant for reconnection. But only one of them returns to the city. Left behind, Liz awakens to a creeping silence that deepens by the hour. The forest hums with an unnatural stillness, the cabin shifts in ways it shouldn't, and something unseen seems to watch from the trees. Directed by Osgood Perkins, Keeper is a chilling study of abandonment and the way love can curdle into something ghostly. As time distorts and memories twist, Liz begins to question not only where Malcolm went, but whether he ever really left. With terror seeping through the cracks and the woods pressing in close, Keeper turns isolation into a breathing entity. Number 2. Frankenstein. Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but tormented scientist, cracks the code of life and assembles a man from stolen corpses, only to recoil in horror when his creation opens its eyes. Fleeing from the responsibility of what he's unleashed, Victor leaves the creature to fend for itself in a world that rejects anything it doesn't understand. As the monster searches for meaning, warmth, and identity, it discovers that its maker may be the true villain. Directed by Guillermo del Toro, the film is a lavish, melancholic gothic horror that pulses with grief, obsession, and the agony of being unloved. Every frame bleeds with shadow and storm, and every choice carries a cost. In this haunting retelling, the monster isn't what Victor made, but what he abandoned. Number 1. Obsession. Bear, a timid music store clerk, harbors a quiet crush on his charismatic co-worker, Nikki. Longing for a connection he's too afraid to pursue. One night, he discovers the one-wish willow, a strange relic promising to grant a single desire, and Bear wishes for Nikki's love. At first, everything is perfect. Then the cracks begin to show. Nikki's affection twists into something suffocating, her eyes vacant, her presence unrelenting. Directed by Curry Barker, Obsession is a sinister tale of desire turned disease, where love isn't given, it's stolen. As Bear struggles to undo his wish, he finds himself trapped in a nightmare of his own making, where control masquerades as romance and freedom becomes impossible. Here are 4 other movies you have to see. F My Son.
Let's make sure we're on the same page here. You're gonna...
A grieving mother takes desperate measures to ease her son's suffering, leading her to abduct a young woman and her daughter under bizarre circumstances. What starts as a tense hostage situation quickly morphs into a surreal nightmare, governed by the mother's twisted logic. The film balances dark absurdity with raw terror, creating an experience that's both disturbing and unpredictable. The hands that rocks the cradle.
You're to rot in hell.
A seemingly perfect nanny enters the lives of a vulnerable family, bringing comfort, order, and something far more unsettling. As her influence grows, the line between protector and predator begins to blur. This chilling domestic horror explores the dangers of trust and the illusion of safety within our own homes. Shelby Oaks. Mia returns to her hometown after her sister, a paranormal investigator, vanishes without a trace. Following cryptic video clues, she uncovers a trail of supernatural lore tied to a mysterious cult. The more she investigates, the more the veil between reality and myth begins to unravel. Bone Lake. A young couple heads to a secluded lake house for a relaxing weekend, only to be joined by another couple with strange energy and even stranger intentions. What starts as a tense social visit spirals into a deadly psychological game. Secrets surface, allegiances shift, and survival becomes the only